And we are live. Welcome,
Great.
everyone. It's a delight to have you on board joining me today. Hello, Linda. Hello, Jennifer. Australia and Canada have joined. Uh, Joining me today are Bill Moore and Jane Chapman. Welcome, Mary. It's delightful to see you. These Sunday little events are kind of getting to be fun in ways that I still haven't quite figured out yet, but it is fun. It's so delightful to have all of you here. So, to me, this week is honestly, one of the things I like about doing these is it feels good to start the week with a focus on what's ahead. So this week to me is all about one place studies week. And joining us on Thursday, we have part two of our two-part series with Janet Berry of the Society for One Place Studies in the UK. Hello, Crystal. Welcome. And today, as my live guests, are Jane Chapman, who will share with us her active one place study that she has brought into Substack with some special twists and frills from a one place study that she began on the weare.xyz platform. Now, Bill Moore, many of you will know from our many engagements on Substack, and of course, his participation here in our Substack Live in during RootsTech, will share with us his planning for his own Substack. So with that, let me back up a little bit and again, welcome all of you joining. As we get to the conclusion, if I can remember this, I'm going to share with you a crazy idea for a project that came to me while chatting up my friends at the local Berkeley Historical Society. So we'll come back to that. But Jane, why don't we start with you and tell us a little bit about your Ryburn Diggings one place study and how you're going about it. Welcome, Sapphire. Go ahead, please,
Right.
Jane.
Well, yeah, sure. The Kyburn diggings, I'm getting some reverb. I don't know if anyone else is. I'm getting feedback.
It's very
Um,
clear here. Perhaps if you have a
okay,
speaker
that's
on your
good.
phone or device, you can turn that down.
Yeah. Whoops, excuse my hand if
That's all
it's in
right.
front of the screen.
That's okay.
Yeah, the Kyburn diggings are in the South Island of New Zealand. And in 1861, gold was discovered there, although things didn't really start to happen until about 1863. So I'm looking at the period between 1863 and about 1900, thereabouts, give or take, um, and focusing in on the people that were there at that time. I became interested in the area when I was researching my husband's second great grandfather, Samuel Jeffrey Veal, and he went there probably about 1863, 4, 5. I'm not sure, but I know he was there in 1867 because there's a record of him transferring a mining license. And he was there for about 20 years and raised children there.
Wow.
And researching him, I discovered all sorts of things that he got up to. You know, there were so many interactions, arguments with neighbours, various things. And it really got me interested in the social fabric of the place and who else might be there and what they might have been doing. And I thought for a long time, oh, this would make a really good one place study. And then when We Are XYZ last year brought out a platform specifically for one place studies, I thought, well, no excuses now, I'll get on with it. So I started it about last September, I think it was. Um, and I started with Samuel because I had his information, but then I decided to get a bit more um, organised and start looking at cemetery records and electoral rolls. But the problem is that I keep getting distracted into interesting stories. And my website's a bit of a mess, to be honest. But I need to sort it out, and that's what I'll do when I finish my current series. But I got totally involved in the murder of Mary Young, which I'm currently writing about on Substack.
So,
And I know, sorry.
so tell us about that.
ah, yeah, well, Mary Young was murdered at at the Carbon diggings on the 4th of August 1880, and so the series is followed through from when she was killed to suspects being um, arrested and various ins and outs of that. And it's pretty much the latter part of it followed through the story of Ali, which is he was a 24-year-old Chinese person at the diggings who did a bit of mining and odd jobs here and there for people. And he actually didn't live at the diggings. He lived about 16 or 18 kilometres away, actually, at Coal Pit Gully near Naseby, which is near the diggings. But he managed to get himself arrested. Somebody else suggested he looked like a suspicious character, and so he got himself arrested. And from there, the police built a case against him. And in the series so far, we've got him convicted of the murder, but people have raised concerns that perhaps he shouldn't have been, or that the sentence, which was death by hanging, was too serious. So we've now, in the last, had people running around trying to make more inquiries. And next week, the part that will come out next week will tell people what ended up happening to Ali. So I think some people are waiting to find out exactly, what his fate was. But then
So
there's one more part after that, because there's another bit of a twist. So even once you know what happens to Ali, there's a bit of a twist. So there's one more part to go after that. So I usually post them my time, 7 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. So that will be when you'll find out. I'm not sure what the time will be at your place, but it probably Tuesday for
so
most people.
as your local administrator of international time here, I can tell you, because I've grilled you ahead of time, to say that that first installment, that's installment 6, will be at the 7 a.m. Your Wednesday, which is the 2nd
Mm.
of April, which will be our Tuesday afternoon or evening as we go all east to the eastern side of the Americas and Europe. So, and then it's a week later that we can watch for this follow-up because your audience is waiting. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
So,
For,
like, you have go on. Go on. I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, for anyone who finds himself, excuse me, for anyone who finds himself researching in New Zealand, two sites that are really go-to sites that I go to a lot are the Papers Past site, which is a site that's run by the National Library and it's free to access, and it has lots and lots of papers of parliamentary papers, police gazettes, letters, journals, but the biggest part of its collection is historical newspapers.
Hmm.
And that's I've got the thing here somewhere,
Yeah. And I'll
paperspast.natlib.government.nz, and
include
it's invaluable. Yeah.
all of these links will be in the show notes. I'll be emailing
Yeah.
out with the recording and transcript after the event. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
also have, go ahead.
I was just going to say the other one is the New Zealand Ancestor Search Helper, which um, is ash.howison.co.nz, and that is a person called Luke Howison put that together just because he can and made it available to everybody.
Mhm.
Um, and it searches a whole lot of New Zealand resources,
Ah,
including the National Archives and
uh-huh.
other things, and that's been absolutely invaluable. And in the National Archives, I found a lot of Justice Department papers, which has given me a lot of the background to the murder of Mary Young.
Right. Right. Fabulous. And then your one place study is intertwined between what you have on Substack and what you have on the We Are platform. Are you doing
Yeah,
that just with links?
yeah, it's not exactly the same the way it's represented on the website, but every post I do has a link to the
Mm-hmm.
website at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom, but
Mm-hmm.
also in some places it will have links in the text or in the
Mm-hmm.
notes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Fabulous.
I've got links to the actual documents that I'm using in some
Yeah.
of the notes. Yeah.
Terrific, terrific. So let me take that start. Obviously, a very richly built on and well loved and intertwined and currently very active
Mm.
one place study. And turn to you, Bill, to tell us a little bit about the process of kind of thinking through. Tell us where you are and what you're looking at.
Yeah, so well, after uh, the last uh, video with, I can't think of her name now, from the Society of One Place Studies,
Janet.
um,
Yeah,
kind of got
Janet
me,
Berry.
yes, uh, got me thinking about that. And um, one of the things that I had been thinking about for a while anyway was doing some research into land records uh, about some farmland that had belonged to ancestors of my in-laws, and there've been a lot of land trades, and there is a family, I guess, some family lore that I'd like to either prove or disprove surrounding at least one piece of the land. Um, there were some land grants back in the early 1800s that uh, one of the ancestors had taken advantage of. Uh, the understanding of at least the recent generations in the family was that he had disowned his son and daughter-in-law because his son married a woman with Native American blood. Um, I'm not altogether certain that's 100% true, um, because I found a will that mentions the son. So, uh, you know, if he's in the will, he wasn't disowned totally. But it gets a little more complicated because of naming patterns. Um, I was looking at a William Groves. Well, there are three William Groves in that town with farmland.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's one of them is the uncle of the other, and I'm not quite sure how the other one is related. Both William Groveses had sons named Charles.
My other brother, Charles. Yeah.
The elder William Grove's father was named Peter, and then the one who's I can't quite figure out where he comes in, father is also named Peter. So it's you start thinking you've got it figured out, and then you realize no,
It,
it's involving someone else. One of them at least did use a middle initial on papers,
uh-huh.
so I'm able to set him aside a little bit. But anyway, that's one study that I'm going to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
how long it's going to take, but in the shorter term, I kind of picked up an assignment through our local genealogy society. Um, there was a historic home in Brockport, which is where my in-laws are from, and I lived briefly. Um, a beautiful, beautiful house, something over 100 years old, called the Morgan Manning House.
Mm-hmm.
And in January, it caught fire.
Mm.
And this house has been operated as a museum. It's also the home of the Western Monroe County Historical Society. They own the house and have their offices there. And um, we happened to catch it on Facebook Live. Someone was there and was broadcasting, showing the fire, flames coming out windows, and
Mm.
uh, there were at least five fire companies that responded to it. It was a very cold, snowy evening, and big crowd developed, and um, really a heartbreaking situation to anybody that is from Brockport or ever went to school there. They would bring the school kids through to tour the
Yeah.
tour the house every year. I mean,
Yeah.
um, a lot of big civic events would take place. I don't know how many weddings have been done there. So it's a really major family resource. So the historical society there is doing some fundraising uh,
Right.
to rebuild,
Rebuild.
and
Was it largely destroyed or partially or?
partially a big part of the roof and the cupola on top of it, which is a real heartbreaking situation because there had been a family tradition in the Morgan and Manning families that every Christmas Eve they would go up and write on the wall in the cupola, something that they were thankful for the year, and sign it.
Oh.
Well, that's been largely destroyed. Those notes are gone.
Mhm.
Um, but the major part of the structure was saved. But a big part of the interior collapsed
Mm.
inside. So there's going to be significant rebuilding that has to be
Yeah.
done. The
Yeah.
half the roof was burned off.
Right.
They've got it sort of shrink wrapped right now
Yeah.
uh, to keep
Protected.
keep the elements out as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
So at any rate, I'm doing an article for the Genealogy Society newsletter that will be coming out in a couple of months. It's a quarterly, um, to encourage our members to support the fundraising. And we've got a big event that we do in the spring every year, and we're dedicating a lot of the proceeds from that to the rebuilding of the Morgan Manning house. So I've been doing a little research. I thought, well, it would be nice to tell the story of the house. And there are things that they have on the website, and then there are some really fascinating stories going
Mhm.
back further in the house. I found, interestingly, just a couple of days ago, a one-place story, or one-place study about Brockport that
Wow.
that was done probably before they called them one-place studies.
Yeah.
Uh, it, a woman who was involved in the DAR
Uh-huh.
did this study of all the old historic homes in Brockport. Brockport is
Mhm.
known as the Victorian village on the Erie Canal.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, the canal actually stopped at Brockport, and then it
Mhm.
went on. So she wrote a little story, a 1 or 2 page story about each of these historic homes. Well, the Morgan Manning home has some very funny stories. One man was a doctor, and his daughter had rented part of the house at one point. He had his office in the house, and they lived there. She was an older teen, apparently, and had wanted to throw a party. Um, their little apartment there wasn't large enough, so she wanted to use the front part of the house. Sent a letter to the owner of the house asking permission. The owner responded immediately with a telegram saying no, absolutely not. The girl went ahead and had the party anyway.
Uh-oh.
Word got back to the owner, and basically the doctor and his daughter were given a week to get out of the house. The owner then sold the house to the Morgan family, who were very prominent in Brockport. They owned or part owners of the company that built the cotton gins, or built a version of the cotton gin that Eli Whitney had
Uh-huh.
invented.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and actually he had come up. They were in partnership with him, but
I see.
there were some design problems, he dropped out of it. They changed the design and
Yeah.
built them and manufactured them. Brockport was a big manufacturing hub at one point.
Right. Right.
Um, so this is the family that owned that house,
You know.
and it burned also in 1964.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, the last remaining member of that family was living in the house.
Oh.
Uh, she was was injured. I'm not sure exactly what the injuries were in the fire, but she did not survive.
Oh.
And she her will basically donated the house to the community,
Oh, I
and
see.
so that's how it became
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
public house and museum,
Yeah.
um, full of just fantastic Victorian era
Right.
furniture, old dolls, and I mean it's
Right.
really a wonderful place to visit.
You know,
So
as go on.
the more I get into the more I've gotten into this, and yeah, I'm going to have to do a study on this house. It
You know, it certainly doesn't write itself, but you do have the immediate structure of the
yeah,
historical sort of society. I mean, that's what I'm overwhelmed with as you describe this. I want to come back to something that Jane said right at the beginning, which was talking about the social fabric, that the
yeah,
study begins with the social fabric and how you knew you were interested in this place because of the ancestral links to it, Jane. And then it was a study of the social fabric of it that led
Mm,
you down the pathway of this amazing murder mystery that we were all hooked on.
yeah,
But as we
that's right.
back yeah. And then, Bill, as you talk about the community that you have already been studying in the context of your own family history, and now this house where, gosh, I almost hear a ghost story, but I'm trying not to
yeah,
impose that. And it sounds lovely. And also because you have a fund, they're trying to raise money. um, I can't help myself. I'm always thinking about projects that a given example creates a model for that others could replicate. So, the idea of having a historical society eager to raise money for a worthy project of this historical
yeah,
preservation. I wonder if that might not be something that could work itself as its own Substack with a paid model that is a donation to the community kind of idea. Maybe that's
possibly, yeah,
possibly,
yeah,
Mm,
or things that leverage archival platforms like we are. I
yeah.
see you, Lori. I see you, or archival platforms like weare.xyz, ensuring that the documents and materials of the original that are woven into the stories of the storytelling
Hmm.
also get preserved. Look forward to learning more in Thursday's talk with Janet Berry on one place studies and the structure for that. She has promised this as a workshop. So I hope you'll come with that idea in mind.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, definitely. I'm probably going to do two pieces on the Morgan Manning home. One more immediate that'll put up on my Substack. Because the article for the Genealogy Society won't come out until June, and I really don't want to wait until June really to get this out and do the fundraising part. Um, and I feel like I can probably say a little more on the Substack than I can say
Yeah.
on something that's representing the society also.
Right.
So
And the having a similar story, a similar piece of news repeated and retold in different forms and different form factors for different audiences is as old as the hills, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's always a good idea, and it helps to get the story out in different ways. Gosh, I'm excited by different things that you could be doing. I can see a whole line of doll houses made up,
Oh,
right?
and it's yeah, and the house is kind of looks like a dollhouse. It's in the square kind of federal uh, architecture, red brick, you know,
Uh-huh.
columns and all. Um, but then with that cupola on the top, you know, it's very picturesque, and
Wow.
it's we we sat watching the live stream that night, and just tears in our eyes. It's
Yeah.
because at one point it really looked like the house was not going to be saved.
Ding, ding, ding. Did you see this note here from Lori Olson White? Paper dolls, super
Oh
vintage
yeah,
and nostalgic. And furthermore, it is much less expensive to produce and print those, but then make those for sale
yeah.
as a fundraiser. Tyler, you've included catsmeow.com. Can you tell us more what that's about? That sounds interesting. Welcome, welcome. It's delightful to see so many of you joining. We have over 20 people here today now. And really talking about custom printed houses. Oh,
Huh.
very clever. Very clever. I did spend more than my share of time with paper dolls. Lots of ways to play paper dolls, and even, by the way, forms of pop-up books. All you need is a picture of the houses you'd want. Hey, Tyler, that's a brilliant idea that could be used on anything, which reminds me, as a matter of fact, I did promise an idea that popped into my head. Actually, no, was suggested by one of the members of our local Berkeley, the city of Berkeley, California, Berkeley Historical Society. I popped over there, I'm now a member, popped over there to say hello and get to know all of them and what's happening there. And one of the actually the newsletter writer had a suggestion for something that she's always wanted to do, which is to create a course at Berkeley High, at the high school, which is one place study of a house, the house that the student lives in. I don't know about the burden of getting the school to adopt curriculum,
Yeah.
but never mind. Wouldn't it be cool to just do a courseware, a short, 4 week, 8 weeks? Some of you are real instructors, teachers out there with a clear understanding of curricula, but even just a summer program doing a organized house study would be so cool. Anybody out there interested in something like that? I would be happy to put multiple people together if multiple of you are interested, and I would be happy to support it with my nerdy techie things if there's anybody interested in such a crazy idea. That's what this is all about. In fact, we are now coming up on about 30 minutes into this, and I do try hard to keep these short and sweet. Jane and Bill, do you each have some final comments to wrap it up?
Well, Jane, I'm just waiting for episode 6. What you've written would actually make a really good miniseries. Um, you've got the cliffhangers on each episode to keep everybody interested. Um,
Yeah, the
And
interesting thing is that since I started writing it, I actually found a whole lot more documentation. So I actually may go back and do parts 1 to 3 again. I might edit them at some stage
no,
because I have
no.
so much more information now. I've almost got too much information. I've gone swimming in it. um, but that's good because it's meant that it has meant I've strung it out a bit, but then we'll get there in the end. Next Wednesday, you'll know what happens to Ali,
to the extent
or Tuesday, your time.
you've got Lori here, one of our masters of the Lost and Found Story series. Maybe we should have a program on telling a story as a series.
Mm.
I would certainly say that as one who has on more than one occasion gone back and fixed a few things on posts that I've previously done, that's totally cool. I think we are finding our way through this as a storytelling platform, and unlike a published book, it's living and continually changing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Welcome. See, you have a fan base. And Bill, any last remarks?
No, I'm just this is. I think this is a fun way to kind of expand our genealogy research. Um,
Exactly.
Mm.
you know, you uh, focus in on a particular location, you're still looking at the family histories and not necessarily your own. And in this case, where I'm doing a family that I have no connection to whatsoever, but and the story that you're doing, Jane, is uh, has gone off in I'm sure a direction you didn't expect when you first started looking there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the fun part of doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and you can actually write about anything. It can be a small location like a house, or it can be a big one. Or I know there are some people that are doing ship voyages, for example, and looking at all the people on a particular voyage in a short period of time. So, it can be any length of time or
Yeah.
any size of place, really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, that is, I think, the key lesson from all of this of our week of one place studies. So join us on Thursday with Janet Berry, who is the chair of the Society for One Place Studies, for part two of her two-part workshop, which of course will also be recorded and shared for everyone. It's taking place at a time of convenience for our Atlantic's world side and will be recorded so all of you in Asia Pacific can get some sleep because I do believe in that. And I want to thank all of you. I think the stories, the approaches that you're taking, however much one place and unique to one family, one place, one house, one room, one boat, still have these universalities. And I think that's what we're all so enamored of. So everybody online, join me in thanking our guests, and we'll see you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thank you so much. Bye
Been great,
bye.
Barb.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.